Hello and welcome to The Extra Shot. My name is Marshall McDonald.
And I'm Charlie. You can follow the show at Extra Shot LTU on Twitter and Instagram for updates on our show throughout the week. We have an exciting show coming up for you today, but first, here is Marshall with the news.
The inquest into the deaths of Cindy Lowe, Kate Goodchild, Luke Dorset and Ruzi Aragi on an October 2016 Dreamworld ride found that the incident could have been prevented during a safety upgrade earlier that year. The theme park had commissioned a safety upgrade on the 30-year-old ride in February 2016, and they were completed in March 2016. These upgrades did not include the installation of a water level sensor, however, which could have saved the victims' lives. The fitting of the sensor was explored for future upgrades on the ride, however those upgrades didn't happen before the disaster. The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, is pregnant with her first child. Markle's first child is due in the English spring 2019. Kensington Palace made the announcement during Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's first visit away from first visit to Australia as a couple. Their first royal visit as a couple. Prince Harry and Markle were in Australia for the Invictus Games, which is a sporting competition for wounded, injured or sick armed service personnel. The Games take place in Sydney and commence on October 20. The Royals' 16-day tour will also include visits to Fiji, Tonga and New Zealand. The Australian public will now be able to have their say on our Eurovision Song Contest entry from next year. Eurovision broadcaster SBS announced the change on Sunday after years of being the Australian selector. Song submissions for next year are now open but close on November 4. The songs shortlisted from the entries will be paired with Australian artists and performed live on February 8th and 9th, followed by a final on February 10. Charlie, do you think the Extra Shot team could write a Eurovision-winning song?
I reckon we could, and I would probably want our camera operator, her name is Jenna, she could probably write it. She's quite the songstress, so I think she'd be good at it.
Who has the best voice? Can you sing, Charlie?
Absolutely not. I mean, I can sing in the shower. That's about the extent of my singing, but I don't know. No, I think that the song should be about food on campus.
Obviously.
What else would it be about?
I'm thinking like a Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire, a Gora edition.
I love that. Your brain, it's so creative.
It's so creative until it comes to pen to paper, and then it's a humble bumble of random stuff that doesn't come out.
Well, if we're going to write a song, that's all you need anyway.
None of the songs make sense nowadays anyway.
Truly.
Do you reckon, but honestly, do you reckon we'll win Eurovision if we put out a song?
I think so. I reckon we all work as a team really well, so I think that we would be great at writing a song.
Vote Extra Shot LTU when we submit our song.
Yeah, into
before
Eurovision,
November
that's
4.
not happening, but...
It is, guys. Hope.
Well, yeah, always. So, more than 300 babies are born with Down syndrome each year in Australia, and this month is Down Syndrome Awareness Week worldwide. Now, let's take a look at a story we have about this event.
Welcome back. Now joining us to discuss Down Syndrome Awareness Month is our senior producer, Seal. How are you?
Welcome,
Hi,
Seal.
guys. I'm good, thanks.
So tell us a little bit about your connection to Down syndrome and what it's like to have a family member with disease?
Yeah, so I had a young brother born in 2008. His name was Mohammed Habib Samak, and he was born with Down syndrome. So I wouldn't really call it a disease. Disability is probably, and that's what this month is all about, I guess, kind of learning the words that we use and having a brother with Down syndrome sort of opened up a whole world for me in terms of learning people with disability, what they go through. So when he was born in 2008, I was in year 8, and he spent the first year of his life in hospital. So he had open heart surgery, and he had like a severe jaundice in the first 6 months and so on. So I guess Down syndrome kind of comes along with a lot of medical issues and stuff like that. And also children with Down syndrome are more susceptible to leukemia, so cancers in the blood. So he was diagnosed with his first cancer when he was 2 years old, and then he was diagnosed again in 2015, and he fought really strong, but he passed away last year in December. And I guess that whole journey that me and my whole family went through with him opened up a whole world of learning what it's like to kind of have a disability and realizing that a person with disability really is just a person and they have their own personality, and that disability doesn't define who they are. And Down syndrome specifically, all it is really is having an extra chromosome, so it's called trisomy 21. So kind of in that chromosome 21, you have 3 instead of 2. And what it means is they kind of come with these traits. Then some of them are negative, some of them are positive, and you take them as they are and you just love them for what they are.
Obviously, a very emotional journey for yourself, I can imagine. What was probably maybe one of the 2 biggest things you learnt throughout your brother's life and dealing with sort of the pressures coming down syndrome?
Well, actually, so my brother throughout his life, I guess, lost the ability to walk 3 times. So the first time was when he kind of first learned how to walk. So he learned the ability to walk 3 times. So when he first learned how to walk, and then kind of after his first cancer, and then he had a back fracture and lost the ability to walk and had to relearn how to walk. And for me, that kind of made me realize that although he's 9 years old, he's nonverbal, he can't really express himself, express his pain and so on, but that kind of determination and that strength that kind of came from within him is something that I learned a lot from. And it also, and I realized when I went to Step Up, which was in that intro, when I met other children with Down syndrome, they all have that trait, this kind of take on life, that everything's going to be okay and it's all positive and there's so much joy. Yeah. And it just makes the issues and tiny little problems like exams and so on seem so whatever. It's not a big deal. We'll survive. Yeah.
So as you just mentioned, tell us a little bit about Step Up for Down syndrome, the event.
Yeah. So Step Up for Down syndrome is something that Down Syndrome Australia, the organisation, they hold it every year. And they hold it in different cities. And the aim for it is to fundraise money for Down Syndrome Australia to kind of grow the research into the disability and to try and create a better quality of life for children with Down syndrome. But also it's about bringing together families with children with Down syndrome to kind of meet each other and to celebrate these children for what they are and who they are, and sort of bring them all together. It's really nice. So everyone kind of comes together. There's all these activities and stuff, and children of all ages, and they all have different abilities. Yeah. Some of them can walk, some of them can't, some of them can speak, so on. But they have this very similar trait, they, their eyes are similar, their hands, they have very specific types of hands, their smiles, and you kind of notice that, and it just creates this big family atmosphere that you don't really get elsewhere, Yeah, so that's what that whole event's about. So that event happened last weekend. I personally didn't go. It was a bit too emotional for me, but my parents went, and it was just kind of nice to see all of those families there and all those other children with Down syndrome.
And did your parents sort of take that same sort of, they learn the same response that you had, sort of learning about the disease and learning about the different traits that they have? Did they sort of take the same path that you took through the journey?
Yeah, I think with my parents, when my mum always says, when Mohammed was first born, it was a big surprise and it was something so unfamiliar, and my mum was like 40 something when she had him, so it was like she had already had 5 kids, and now it's like something all new, and you're really unprepared for it. So the first year was really difficult, but you kind of find, like, through organisations like Down Syndrome Australia and other organisations, that it's not as bad, and then you can find the positives of it. And like for us as a family, the positives of having a child with Down syndrome, like we're all old reasonably now and so on, but it kind of brought us all together. We were always around him, we were always like laughing and playing with him. It just brings that sort of child like sense within you. It just brings it out, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, Cecile. We
Appreciate you sharing that.
talking about this topic.
Thank you for having me.
So now we have an update on Shane Dawson's latest YouTube series. So Shane Dawson's it's an old school YouTube name, and we're gonna have a look at this and let us know what you think. Send us your reactions to this story at Extra Shot out to you, and yeah, have a look.
Shane Dawson.
Shane Dawson.
Shane Dawson.
Shane Dawson.
YouTube sensation Shane Dawson has once again caused quite the controversy in the online community, with the release of his new 8-part docuseries focusing on the polarizing Jake Paul. Paul had previously starred in a Disney Channel TV show.
I'm Jake Paul from Bizarre Bar, and you're watching Disney Channel.
But has gained wide attention for his reckless and demoralizing behavior online. Fans of Dawson have questioned the intent of the series, some believing he is attempting to redeem the character of someone who doesn't deserve it, while others are criticizing the unethical way that Dawson is depicting mental illness.
Do I think that Jake Paul is a sociopath? No, he's a douchebag.
This has been Charlie Wright reporting for the Extra Shot.
Okay, Charlie.
Yes.
As I mentioned before, Shane Dawson, I know him from YouTube from a while ago.
He's the OG.
OG in the game.
OG YouTuber, yeah.
OG in the game. What's he up to now? What's the story?
Well, so basically he has lately he's kind of transitioned into a new phase of content called, I would say it's investigative journalism. Okay. So he did it with, as we saw in a previous episode, Jeffree Star, and then the Tanner Mojo disaster, and then now he has moved on to Jake Paul, who, as most people know, is a very controversial figure online. He's mostly known for pranks and just being reckless with reckless behavior, but this new series that Shane is creating...
Is Jake Paul, it was his brother Aaron that went to Japan?
Logan Paul,
that
yes.
was Logan, was that his brother?
Yes,
okay,
his brother
sorry.
he did a video in the suicide forest, which again, just the whole Paul family, there's a lot of drama, yeah. And so Shane is making this new series now where it started off being about sociopaths and defining what a sociopath is, which is antisocial personality disorder. And there's drama because he was kind of accusing Jake Paul of being a sociopath. Okay. And Shane is a therapist, so it's kind of drama about that. And also Shane has been making these videos interviewing Jake Paul where he has a licensed therapist pretend to be his producer. So some people online are questioning if that's ethical, if that's legal even.
That's a line I wouldn't dare cross doing something like that.
Yeah,
that's a bit... Well, it's not only just for journalism purposes, for the therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, you could probably get your license removed if that's how it works.
Well, yeah, it is. And I feel like if Jake Paul found out... Because we currently don't... right now in this series, we don't know if he is aware that this therapist is actually a therapist. But I feel like that would be quite upsetting. For me, if I was being interviewed and I found out there was a therapist there without my knowledge, I feel like that's kind of... a no-no.
Having anyone there that sort of is essentially lying to you in order to manipulate you to give or not manipulate you, just to read you and taking your words for different meanings, it even after you find out, it would be horrible to think.
Yeah, it would be. But another lot of drama coming out of this series is kind of about how people are thinking that Shane is trying to redeem Jake Paul's character. Because he's kind of seen as the, the bad boy of YouTube, and people kind of don't want anything to do with him. So they're kind of questioning why Shane would want to redeem his character and if this is even a thing that should happen.
I think everyone has the chance to be redeemed, whatever. Obviously, it depends what you do. For me, I don't... Again, I'm fairly new to Jake Paul's. I don't know exactly what he's done. So if whatever he's done has obviously taken a knock to his character, I'm all for redemption of any kind.
Yeah.
So if that's the motive, good on Shane Dawson. He's doing his thing, but again, I don't know what the motive is, and that's the key to my question.
That's kind of the main issue is that we don't really understand Shane's intent with this series, but that remains to be seen. And there's still 2 parts to come, which will be coming out this week. So everyone, stay tuned to that, and we'll find out more about Jake Paul.
Can't wait.
Yeah. And now it is time for sport.
Welcome back, and it's time for sport. Changing the lineup today, we have Billy, but instead of Sahil, we
sound
have
disappointing.
Same old
You
Billy.
took my spot the other week, so I'm putting my eyes on you. And instead of Sahil today, we've got Jack. How are you?
Hey, how you going, guys?
Yes, we're good. So today we're talking about NBA, and I know nothing about basketball, so I want to be educated on the topic. So tell me something.
That's a loose lesson to be taught there, Charlie. So I'll make it a little bit more specific for the sports guys. Could you perhaps give us the 2 biggest stories for this season coming up, and give us your contenders for the year?
Well, the contenders I can answer for you in 2 words: Golden State. But that's pretty cut and draw. Barring a pretty disastrous run of injuries, they're going to be lifting the title for the 3rd straight time for me. In terms of storylines, the main one, certainly in the off season from the last couple of weeks, has been the Jimmy Butler saga at Minnesota. So we brought in our resident NBA and Timberwolves fan, Jack, to tell us about that. And it is your debut, mate. I know you're very passionate about it. Just remember, we are live, so try and keep it PG.
We are live
but give us,
out in the Agora.
Yes.
Give us the rundown. What's going on with Jimmy Butler and what's going to happen going forward?
Well, it's just been an absolute train wreck. As a Minnesota fan, it brings a tear to my eye. We acquired Jimmy Butler in a trade last year for Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and Lauri Markkanen. They were offloaded to Chicago, and we got Jimmy Butler. And things were looking up. Things were looking like they were going to be good.
For Charlie, he's a star. He's a
stud.
A stud.
He's a stud dude. He took our franchise to the next level. Everything was sweet. We got a new head coach, new front office, because we had been bad for years and years before that.
Forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of the most amount of time, and it's more than that. Yeah. So, everything was good. We were able to make the 8th seed, which is the last playoff seed.
Okay.
And we hadn't made the playoffs for 40 years or something.
Oh, wow.
It'd been crazy.
Long time.
We hadn't done anything of note.
So this year was I was going into this season thinking Timberwolves, Butler's 2nd season, it's time to step up. So what's happened?
What's happened is Jimmy Butler has said that he's not going to re-sign with Minnesota for a new contract, which means that he's requested a trade to someone else. But Minnesota hasn't been able to meet that trade request, so now he's gone on this huge rant of just calling the other players soft and saying the front office doesn't know what they're doing.
Wow.
My favourite part of this story now, this is a training about last week, and this is insane. This is NBA soap opera at its best.
Smile from ear to ear. This is a great story.
It's a star. It is. It's a star-driven league. It's a soap opera league, and this is soap opera at its best. So Butler hadn't been seen at training for weeks. Hadn't been turning up. He wants to leave. He's made that extremely clear that he doesn't want to be there. And then take it from there, Jack. What happens at the infamous training session from last week? Just a week out from the season, mind you, which starts tomorrow.
They play a scrimmage, and he takes the guys that are usually at the end of the bench, the real kind of not so good
barely
players that
on
are
the
still
team,
on the team,
sort of
bottom of the roster.
Exactly.
Bad. He takes those guys, and he beats the starters in the scrimmage and just embarrasses them.
Wow.
And just yells that they're all soft and you can't win without me and all this stuff.
So that's crazy. I love it. I love the confidence. I love the swagger. But what does that mean for the Timberwolves? Is he going to play for them at all?
Yeah, he's gonna play this season because they weren't able to find a trade, and I don't know if they're going to find a trade from the from the at the deadline or something?
We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I can't see him. It's untenable, surely. Like, they'll have to make a move eventually, but it seems they've got an unwillingness. They've been, according to reports, unreasonable in their trade demands. So they'll have to loosen up there. But
there was sort of like talkings go around that Minnesota was sort of asking for too much on purpose because they didn't want to like lose him for the season.
That's right.
So they were kind of sabotaging their own trades. Yeah. If you know what I mean.
The reaction from their teammates, he's got two other sort of major teammates called Andrew Wiggins and Carl Anthony Towns. They're big young stars, and they got Jimmy to be that third piece. What are their reactions to it? Because they need to be happy as well. They need to be looked after in Minnesota.
We haven't really heard much from them, to be honest, which is, I think, part of the problem. Drew feels they're too passive to be able to really take the team to the next level, and he's probably been proven right so far. So we'll see. I can't see Butler being there for very long. I think he'll. Well, we'll have to see how the team
He will
starts.
be playing, but it makes me like uncomfortable just knowing that the chemistry is not there. And they secretly just don't like playing with each other.
Let's try to be positive. I'll spin it around. I'll be the devil's advocate. Let's say Jimmy shows up and he'd like to fire under both Carl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins with this spray, with the spray he gave throughout the off season. And if he plays like he did with the bench players, if he shows up like that, you guys could be not contenders. Obviously, the Warriors are hard to beat, but you'll be better.
Yeah, I'm not sure any of that matters in the long run because he's not going to re-sign. He wants to go somewhere else. And he's got 1 year left in his contract. Okay. That's why he's still able to play this season. But because he's not re-signing, then I don't think people have much faith in there being this huge run.
Especially if they don't like each other either.
Especially with all of them being starters and such integral parts of the team. I just don't see a real positive season.
So that's the major story. There's also another story in the off-season. Can't get much bigger than this. LeBron went to the LA Lakers, jumped from the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know LeBron James.
I do know LeBron James.
You know LeBron James. We don't need to give you the
Charlie knows a sports star.
Yeah.
Here we go. Took us 2 weeks. No, but unfortunately not.
And one. Is he going to give Golden State a run?
I wouldn't have thought so. He just doesn't seem to have the players around him. The meme team, as they're called, got together. Lance Stevenson and Rajon Rondo and JaVale McGee.
Michael Beasley.
Michael Beasley. A few real interesting units these put
and
together.
And, of course,
team.
Lonzo Ball and his dad.
And speaking of...
It's been pretty quiet, though.
LeVar Ball has been suspiciously quiet. Yeah, as you say, the last few months. There's rumours of perhaps a little bit of green stuff changing hands in that department.
LeVar Ball's like the crazy dad of one of the players.
Yeah, it's like the dad of the kid in the under-8s team who's on the bench all the time and the dad who's quite boisterous and feels take that but transfer it to the NBA level scale, and that's basically what you get with LeVar Ball. But as you say, been very quiet since LeBron came into town, so... Interesting development. His silence is deafening.
Everything we've been talking about is from the Western Conference. Quickly, who's your tip for the East? I know it might be sort of also rans with the Warriors, Lakers, even Timberwolves, but who is your tips in the East? Is it Ben Simmons, the Aussie?
That'd be the patriotic pick. I think the Celtics are the best team if they stay healthy and the team the most likely to give.
How's Hayward? Is he
Golden State a run?
Well,
of course, Hayward
he's
broke
back,
his leg. Day one of the first game
last season.
Of the season, last year. So he'll be back. Irving will be back. So I think they're the best chance if they can stay fit. Have you got a Smokey in the East for us, Jack?
Well, I like the Indiana Pacers with Victor Oladipo. He sort of had a breakout season last season. He became an all-star for the first time in his career, and they've just got a good bunch of young guys that I think are real tough. Yeah. So I think they can make a good run in the East.
So in other words, Warriors are winning the comp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's Warriors versus the field, I'm taking the Warriors.
All right. I think that's... Thanks for coming in, boys.
Yes,
thank
you.
Cheers.
And I think, what do you got for us, Charlie?
Now we have Humans of Latrobe. Now joining us is Jake Cripps, and you are the National Union of Students General Secretary.
G'day, thanks for having me.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your role and what it entails.
So the National Union of Students is the peak representative body for students all around Australia. So basically what we do is we lobby the federal government to implement really good policies for students. So a good example of that was earlier on this year, we stopped a bill go through the Senate that would see us paying ridiculous amounts for our HECS debt, which was really good. So,
Okay. Do you have any connection to the student union here? Do you deal with much, or do you connect with many of the organisations around Latrobe?
yeah, so the student union here at Latrobe is affiliated to the National Union, so we kind of advocate on their behalf. But I also used to be the president of the student union here, and then prior to that, the education officer. So
do you obviously have the
having-
passion for sort of being sort of advocating or for students' rights or students?
yeah, definitely.
What sort of sparked your interest in that?
I kind of got involved because at the time, I thought that the student union was a great organisation, a really good opportunity for me to create a good bit of positive change around here at Latrobe. So, I kind of got involved on like a really philanthropic level, and then it just sort of kind of hit me. I just found like this really deep love for being able to run events for students, run services for students, and then go on to eventually advocate for them.
So where do you see yourself in your potential career?
In the union movement, I definitely do like the unions. We've kind of seen more nationally, we've seen the Change the Rules kind of campaign run through the ACTU. And it's something, working on those sorts of campaigns, working on in the union movement would be really great. I also study a law degree, so possibly doing both of them at the same time with something.
That was my next question. Where did your uni course, did that sort of help you choose to get involved with this, or is it something completely different?
No, it was actually my mum. So my mum,
Please explain.
weirdly enough, right? My mum is like a really, really passionate unionist. She's always kind of been really, really outspoken in that sort of sense, and so she's a single mother who went back to uni to study social work. So she's always kind of been a bit of an inspiration to do good in the world, and she was a person who kind of connected me to doing good in the world is extrinsically linked in the union movement. So that's just kind of what got me started, and then I found out I loved it, and here I am.
Now, I work at Woolies, and we've just had a collective bargaining agreement happen, so I know the importance of unions no matter where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Could you perhaps explain why someone would be inclined to sort of support their union no matter where they work or what they work for? Could you maybe explain why?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of any of the other unions, but the reason why I've always kind of joined my union straight away is I always sort of see it as insurance. A lot of good unions offer free legal advice or things like that for their constituents. So, if you ever wrongly terminated at work, or if you ever, had something bad happen to you even at university, the union, whether it's a student union, whether it's something like the SDA, or whether it's something like the ACTU, will always be there to try and help you out. So.
Do you find it hard to balance all these different things that you're currently doing?
Coffee helps.
Of course.
Coffee and no sleep?
Coffee and no sleep. It's the student dream, right?
Yeah, it is.
Coffee, and I always have a really good support network. So, it is hard. I'm not going to lie to anyone. But at the same time, it makes it a lot easier when you have a whole bunch of people around you kind of agree.
Still studying your law degree? How long you got left?
I got 2 years left. So fingers crossed I've only got 2 years left. We'll see how it goes. But, it's fun, so I don't mind it.
Now, does the union? Can you get onto the union to talk about the Wi-Fi here at Latrobe? Because it's been off.
It's been absolutely
Struggle.
terrible, right? I can confirm. I have made a complaint to the union president. He's fixing it, so don't worry. We're getting
That's breaking news.
Exclusive
Don't worry.
reaction
Everyone.
section shot out to you. We've got an exclusive.
yeah. So
Any
that's
updates?
always
Did you get any response?
He's still meeting with the university, so we'll see how it goes. But he's a talented man, that one. So I've no doubt that the Wi-Fi will be fixed soon.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for coming in.
Great.
I
Thank
you for joining
appreciate
us.
it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And good luck with your law degree, and
Yes.
good luck for the
Good luck with
Wi-Fi.
everything.
Cheers. Yeah, we need it.
So, Charlie, some sad news. Unfortunately,
Yes.
next week
We've been cancelled.
we've been cancelled. I think it's my head. I don't know if it's Charlie's head. He's quite a beautiful
it's
man,
both of our faults.
but we've been cancelled. So next week's our last show.
We're just kidding. We haven't actually been cancelled.
Yeah, we have.
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't. It's just our last show.
It is our last show next week. So everyone stay tuned because we have a lot of special stuff prepared.
Oh, we've got heaps. I don't know if we'll
lot.
food,
Yep.
balloons,
A massive party.
streamers, fireworks. The Agora's going to be lighting up like the 4th of July. It's going to be fantastic.
It will be
I
amazing.
can't wait. So,
Remember everyone to follow us on Extra Shot LTU on Instagram and Twitter throughout the week for updates on our last show.
awesome. Thank you very much for watching.
See you next week.